Will Bitcoin hit a new all-time record high today? The answer is we don't know. Probably, maybe, who knows? But it's the wrong question. The right question is how much Bitcoin do you own, and what percent of the Bitcoin that you own is of your total net worth. So the way Bitcoin works is back when Bitcoin was $10,000, people were telling me, I was actively involved in that range back in 2017 and 2018 when it was below $10,000 for quite a while. Everybody I ran into said the same thing, which is, I wish I'd gotten into Bitcoin a lot earlier, or if they owned any Bitcoin, they said, I wish I'd bought a lot more Bitcoin, but now it's like $10,000. Like, it's so expensive now. And I feel like I sort of missed out. I feel like I sort of missed the boat. I'm late to the party. So, most people just either sat on the Bitcoin they already had without buying any more, or if they did not own any Bitcoin, they did not buy any because they thought, well, why would I buy it now? It's like 10 grand. Well, of course, people have been saying that exact same thing since it was worth a penny, 10 cents, $1, $10, $100, $1,000, $10,000. I mean, here we are at $100,000, and people are literally saying the exact same thing they said about Bitcoin at $1, which is, well, if I was going to get involved with Bitcoin, I should have done it sooner. And, I'm kind of late to the party and I missed out and all that sort of stuff. No, only 5%, maybe 5% of the world owns any Bitcoin. And the vast majority of the Bitcoin that is owned by those people is a very small percentage of their net worth. So if you walk into a random restaurant with 100 people in it and ask them how many people own Bitcoin, maybe five of the 100 people, which is 5%, would raise their hand. If you then ask them to be honest how much Bitcoin they own, you probably, in a random restaurant with 100 people in it, one of them probably owns $20, one of them probably owns $50, one of them probably owns $100, one of them owns $200, and one of them probably owns a few $1,000s. And as a percentage of the net worth of each of them, it's a very small percent. And obviously, as the percentage of the net worth of the other 95% of the people, the other 95 of 100 people, the percent of their net worth that is in Bitcoin is zero because they don't own any. So we're sitting here at $105,000, just a few percentage points from the highest Bitcoin has ever been in history. And people are saying the exact same thing they've said all along, which is, well, yeah, you're right. You're right about Bitcoin, Joel, but if I were going to buy Bitcoin, I should have bought it a lot cheaper. And, now it's too late. I've missed the boat. I'm late to the party, blah, blah, blah. Same thing as always. That's not true. The price of gold, the literal yellow rock that you dig out of the ground, the price of gold is more than 10 times the price of Bitcoin right now. So Bitcoin can increase in value by 10x, 1,000, what is that? Whatever that is, 1,000%. 1,000%, 10x from today's price before, and it hasn't even passed the price of gold. Gold is still more valuable than Bitcoin, even if Bitcoin 10x's from where it is today. So, and that's before Bitcoin really breaks a sweat. Once it 10x's from here, once it's above $1 million coin, now we get into discussion of how much better Bitcoin is than gold. It can 10x in value without even having to be better than gold. Bitcoin can 10x in value without even surpassing the price of the value of gold right now. And what I'm referring to is the total value of all the Bitcoin versus the total value of all the gold. So all the gold in the world right now is worth, the last time I checked, like $22 trillion. Maybe it's 23, maybe it's 21, but low 20 trillions. And Bitcoin is just 2 trillion. So 2 trillion versus more than 20 trillion. Gold is worth 10 times more than Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin has a lot of headroom before it even breaks a sweat. And again, what do you think is going to happen when the other 95% of the world buys Bitcoin, and when the 5% who already owns Bitcoin buys a lot more than $20 or $50 or $100 or $200? The answer is the price is going to be way higher. So is Bitcoin going to hit an all-time high, record high today? I don't know. It might. Good chance, but it might not. But what really matters is how much Bitcoin do you own, and what percent of that is that of your total net worth? Because if the answer is, well, you own $1,000 of Bitcoin and that feels like a lot, but you've got, $80,000 in your retirement fund and $19,000 split across 2 bank accounts or whatever it is, then if your net worth is $100,000 and you have $1,000 of Bitcoin, you have 1%, which means if it 10x's in value, you're going to have 10% more net worth than you already had. And for an asset that has such strong upside potential, and at this point, comparatively low risk, it is a shame, in my opinion, it is a shame to only 10x 1% of your assets. It's a lot more fun to 10x 10% of your assets, because then instead of just having 10% more financial resources and financial freedom, you will have 100% more. Because if you take 10% of your net worth and put it in Bitcoin and it 10x's, then you have doubled your net worth. If you only have 1% in and it 10x's, then you go from 1% to 10%, you still have the other 99%, and you basically have roughly 10% more. It's even more fun if you put 20% or 30% in. Obviously, if you have 30% in Bitcoin, it 10x's. That quadruples the total amount of money you had, because the 10% turns into 300%. The 30% turns into 300%. You still have the 70% of your original assets, and you have almost quadruple what you have today. And then there's people like me who have literally 100% of the liquid assets that I own or control are in Bitcoin, which means every increase in the price of Bitcoin is, radically, if it 10x's, it 10x's almost my entire net worth. Obviously not counting, private company stock and stuff like that, but that's not liquid. As far as liquid assets, things I even could invest in Bitcoin if I wanted to, I'm at 100%. So there's nowhere to go. But again, I represent a microscopic percentage of the world. So what do you think is going to happen when more of the world starts getting serious about Bitcoin? It's going to go up a lot higher than it is today. So what matters is not, do we hit a new all-time high today? It's how much Bitcoin do you have, and what percent is that of your total net worth? And is that the amount you want to 10x? Or do you want some larger amount to 10x? So that's my 2 cents for the day. Have a good one, everyone.